Alright, welcome. This is M-Dog from M-Dog Gaming, and we're going to try a Ramp Druid. This is... Man, there's a lot of Ramp Druids out there as the meta settles here after the recent release of the Frozen Throne expansion for Hearthstone. I think this is actually pretty close, if not exactly, the Ramp Druid deck that a French player named Tars used on his stream. However, I have seen a lot of people using very similar decks. And not so similar decks. I actually was going to play a really expensive Druid deck that I saw Tice playing that looked really fun, but it's so expensive, like I almost don't want to... I don't know. It's just like, unless you put a lot of money into the expansion or unless you had a lot of dust like I do, you're probably not going to want to even play something that expensive. So anyway, this Ramp Druid deck, I really don't know how it's going to play. If you watched any of my previous feature videos, you'll know that I make a lot of mistakes, especially when I don't know a deck. Now I can, if I play with the same deck for a while, I can really start to get to know the deck, and it becomes muscle memory of what's going to happen. And I lose some of that impulsivity, and I don't make as many mistakes.
You asked for it.
I must protect the
You just have to take my word for it. However, when I'm playing new decks, I just make lots of mistakes. So the idea here is, this is what this deck is like for a player who's probably below average in some ways. And whatever I can do with this deck, you can probably do more with it. I'm more just trying to feature some of the new decks that are possible in this new world of Hearthstone. So we're playing a mage here. I shouldn't say we have none of our ramp. We have some of our ramp. So on turn 3, we can actually Mire Keeper. So this isn't like the dream scenario ramp. So this will be a good test of how does this deck do when you don't get all of the early ramp, you know? So almost regardless of what he plays here, I think we coin into Mire. Now, this appears to be, if he is playing the, actually the deck that we featured in the last video we did, was the Frost Jaina deck. And if that really is what he's playing, then this will be quite a test. Because that deck is very powerful, if not verging on overpowerful. Even though I still found ways to miss lethal and misplay it a good bit. He's got perfect mana to kill this without... Ooh, what's he playing with his 2 mana? So, it looks like he's just flooding a little bit and also trying to keep the elemental train alive, which tells me on turn 5 he's got one of those elemental things. Do we swipe here? And this is where I just don't know... Or we just let him trade. I mean, we could take away using our... I just don't feel like there's a great target for swipe. Now, we could card draw. Maybe we do that. We should have drawn first. Always draw first. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. Now, that's a pretty good pickup. We still haven't gotten any additional ramp, though. It's a little early to be healing, so it's awkward to have 2 Moonglade portals in our hand this early, but it does summon a 6-cost minion. You know, it's almost worth messing his plans up and doing this. Let's see what we get. Now, the other thing is this could be a counter spell. And he may have been fishing for that, I don't know. That's a pretty advanced play there if he really was fishing for... He knows this deck we're playing well, if that's what he was doing. Let's see how powerful it is to go ahead and get him out this early.
The circle of life is over.
We'll get the taunt. So he doesn't have anything out right now that we're like, oh, we just really need poison. And he's got enough like AoE damage and even just using his ping, that those poisonous creatures with 2 health just wouldn't have been that powerful. Now this does 3 attack or 3 armor. I don't feel like this is quite as strong as some of the other new abilities introduced, but
My thoughts are plagued.
A game? So kind of you to join me.
okay. I was not expecting Frozen Clone there.
So kind of you to join me.
A tangled web. Light and rot. Death is eternal. My turn is not.
I always win.
I think it's okay to do that. We've got armor and healing.
Get it out! Get it out!
That'd be nice to get a 6-cost minion, huh?
I always win.
Death is eternal. My turn is not.
Probably gonna see. Well, he definitely could have Flame Strike. Could have Blizzard, of course. He's got a slightly different list than what. Oh, that's weird. Slightly different list than what we played with, but it's only 1 or 2 cards off, it appears. Wait. 4, 7, 12. We have lethal, right?
Behold the rage of the Firelands.
Light and rot.
Alright. So we'll see. I don't know if that was like lucky or like unlucky for him, or if we really I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to go that well. Now, typically that deck would have more AoE
I must protect the wild.
damage that would have helped him. So we don't want to keep these expensive cards, but I do like an early Tar Creeper, especially against Hunter. Early Wrath is always nice. That's a heavy Drake in our hand, but we will take it.
Side effects? No. Trust me.
For the wilds. This beast will not be tamed.
I think we just go and play Tar Creeper here. Now, Ooze can be meaningful against Hunter. A lot of the current Hunter decks are running bows again, so... Only because we could potentially Fandral and Wrath next turn. We'll go ahead and do it that way. Ramp a little bit. So far, this reminds me of the Hunter deck that we saw.
Is patience.
I think it's worth killing that. Now, is there a world in which we would still ramp to jump to 8? Sorry, to jump to 9 for the turn after next? I don't know. That doesn't feel as
No.
as helpful.
Trust me.
Although I'm not sure what else we're going to do. That was kind of a weird play for him. I guess we do this only because it does both, right? Just play both of these for value.
The land serves me.
We will devour this world.
That was a really nice Druid of the Swarm there. Because the poisonous ones don't have stealth, so to be able to get the both taunt and poisonous there seems pretty legit. Okay. Can we just ignore that for a turn? Or do we just swipe it?
Feel my wrath.
Hmm.
All the while.
So that's not what I was expecting to do. However, it's the way it worked out, so.
Time waits for no one.
I really want to hold on to the ooze because I think a bow is coming. And we obviously are not out of the woods yet. And it's probably good that we're going to heal ourselves with this. I was really tempted to heal a minion there, but against Hunter,
Your weakness betrays you. Warriors of the frozen wastes, rise. Feel my wrath. For the wild.
I think we're going to keep clearing a little longer. We've got some pretty significant control here right now.
Side effects? No.
The end has come. I'm not lonely anymore. For the wild.
That's pretty nice. I mean, obviously there is an absolute argument to be made that we should have been going face the last two turns. The only thing I'm looking at is we have such card advantage. We're not in danger health-wise. I don't know. I mean, look at this.
I'm late. I'm late.
I will hunt you down. The end has come.
Give that minion a turn to get ready.
For the wild.
I mean, I think this is the right course of action, but I don't know.
This beast will not be tamed.
Whatever he gets, he can probably play it this turn. We still have the ability to destroy a minion.
Better to eat you in. I will hunt you down. I will hunt you down. I will hunt you down. Frozen wastes. Rise.
A game? So kind of you to join me.
Wow. To me, this is the scariest of Lich King abilities, the Army of the Dead. They can certainly work out well, but you can also lose some really powerful spells and ability cards that way. And if you have a heavy battle cry, deck, it can be difficult then as well. So we have utterly controlled this matchup. We've played very conservatively, which may be a little boring, but I don't know. I think it's been the right course of action with this deck. Seems like this deck does have some flexibility to it. So far, I'm enjoying it a lot. But I do like this kind of matchup. I like to feel like, and he left. He's just frustrated. I like to feel like there is flexibility. I don't enjoy decks as much that it's just like one thing. Like I've never enjoyed playing super aggro or 100% control either. That gets really, really old as well. All right. But there's no reason to linger.
Well played.
All right, let's see. All right, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to accept his friend request, and then he's probably going to say a bunch of curse words at us, but it's always interesting to see what people are really like. Haha. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. I just like to... You would not believe how often that happens in Hearthstone. If you...
For Doomhammer.
I must protect the wild.
If you win a match, it's like a fairly decent percentage of the time that they will... Alright, Shaman could have weapons, so we want to keep that. Do we keep a Wrath? I guess so. This is a pretty good starting hand for this deck, I would think. Sorry, that was offensive. I usually try to keep stuff. I shouldn't have accepted his friend requesting because I'm streaming. If I wasn't streaming, I would definitely accept it just because I'm always curious like what people are gonna say. I've had it go the other way too. I've had people do that and then like immediately say, "Hey, that's a cool deck. Where'd you get it from?" or
My greeting.
you know, that kind of thing. So, but that's the exception. Typically, it's the type of response that he had. Unfortunately. I mean, we can play 2 Tar Creepers in a row. I don't think we want to get behind. I mean, this is very likely what, even though we would love to coin out Mirekeeper, this is very likely what, like an evolve-devolve deck. So, the downside of this minion is it only has 1 attack when we can attack with it, but we just want to try to keep his minions from building up. Okay. I do like Feral Spirit in the Evolve deck. However, I haven't seen it in Evolve a lot recently, but I do think that's cool. I guess we just Feral and take 1 out.
For the wild.
Again, just to cut down on how many minions there are over there. Now he did only have 2 mana this turn to spend, so. And next turn we may still ramp next turn. That jump to 6 mana could be really helpful, just like last game, to have Fandral Wrath option. But that does mean that we're going to allow him to build up minions, which might be the wrong choice.
The land serves me.
This is where we maybe pay for it. Okay.
Behold the rage of the Firelands! Feel my wrath!
Just cutting down on minions there. He still has 2 and he's got spell power, but he could take out all but 1. The only thing lucky for us is this only took 3 damage. Besides that, it was just about best case scenario for him. What's up, Leopard Gnome? He has card advantage. I guess depending on if he has single target removal for this will tell us.
Warriors of the frozen wastes,
Haven't quite figured out how to use a Frostmourne yet. I guess you can use it twice. You'd be able to kill it anyway. That is pretty much dying no matter what we do, right?
Golems are a girl's best friend.
So you gotta take the 8 damage here. He's thinking about it. Yep.
A game? So kind of you to join me.
Prepare to face the mighty Millhouse Metastorm!
Wow. Thankfully there was no battle cry, so that doesn't affect his spells.
You are so fun!
Just see if he has any healing or taunt.
little time.
Get 'em, boys.
He's just gonna evolve.
I am the frozen heart of the scourge.
14, 7, 11.
For the wild. I always win. Well played.
It's a pretty fun deck, actually.